We are not leaderless because we like it and because it is the best foot forward. But the mixture and the concoction of a leaderless society, a tribeless society, and a partyless society is dangerous to the political establishment we have, because their rallying call and their way of marshalling numbers has been almost grounded to tribes and tribalism, to a certain political figurehead and a certain political party.
I like the fact that we have been leaderless, we have been partyless, we have been tribeless. We can no longer continue to be leaderless. In fact, it is our weakest link that we are leaderless. Because if you come to the ground, our leaderlessness contributes to our disorganization during protests. Yeah. We go to a protest with a goal, but the fact that there is nobody to show direction to the masses that have come out, we end up being all over the place.
If only we can get it right in Parliament, most of this thing you're seeing around haziwezi zikakuwa. Because we have parliamentarians who, I can say, they have absconded. They have gone to work as executive members of parliament. So they are another wing of the executive. These people, actually, they don't even work for the executive. These people work for their greed. They don't like Ruto, but they like the money that Ruto is giving them.
Is the government setting up the Gen Zs or the revolutionists against the business community?
The business community understand. In fact, most of them are always supportive. But I think that's not going to happen henceforth, especially in the areas where people are affected.
Amongst us, we do not have burglars, we do not have guns, and we do not have distractors. It is important that we point out the people, or rather the institution that made it possible, which is not the demonstrators.
What the president is being told that people from Mount Kenya are trying to portray a certain community, Mount Kenya, that's saying those youths came from Mount Kenya who are rooting, vandalizing people's business and protesting. That's a lie. They are lying to the president.
Hello and welcome to LNN. My name is EJ Mukora. The month of June has been a dark month for many Kenyans, a volatile month for many Kenyans, and especially the youths who have taken back to the streets fighting for their rights, agitating for justice and accountability from the government. The same government has answered them back. It has called the protest as attempted coup. The president has called it as anarchy dressed in freedom colors. But today, we are joined by a group of Kenyan youths, the Gen Zs, who are bold, outspoken, and revolutionists, who continue to call out the government and what has been happening, and who feel like change has not yet happened since June last year. We're going to get in-depth on what has been happening in the country as they analyze on how the president has been answering them and the way forward. Hello guys, how are you doing?
Hello.
So you're going to start by introducing yourself. I think you're going to start with the lady first.
Hi, my name is Sophie Mugurenjehia. I am a member of the Revolutionary Gen Z movement, and I'm also an active citizen. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Movin James Samboka, a member of the Revolutionary Gen Z movement, and also a very, very active citizen.
Okay, sir?
My good name is James Mulamba. I am a revolutionary and an active citizen.
Okay, nice having you. On this side?
My name is Silas Waweru. I'm a revolutionary Gen Z movement and active citizen.
Okay.
Viva Comrades, Viva.
Viva.
I'm Ian Obongo Ambila. I'm a member of the Revolutionary Gen Z movement, a youth leader, and I'm glad to be here.
Thank you.
Comrades Power.
Power.
My name is Ochieng Alam. I'm the current and probably the only speaker of the Bunge la Gen Z. And I'm also a member of the Revolutionary Gen Z movement. And I'm happy to be here.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you guys for joining us and having this conversation. I would just like to start from something in-depth. How are you guys? How are you feeling right now? Who is your mental state? Like, we can start with you, Sophie. Being honest, if you'd speak out, how do you feel? What emotions do you have right now?
Number one, I'm anxious. I'm not sleeping well. I'm kind of scared because the government has said that they're coming for us, who are mobilizers and the organizers in the Gen Z movement. I am grieving because we have lost so many lives again. I'm angry because I don't know what else to do anymore. I don't know how I can fasten the time to 2027, if at all. I'm just feeling all sorts of emotions that are not good emotions. Yes.
Okay. Mulamba, how are you feeling right now? What state are you in?
I am hopeful.
Wow.
I am quite hopeful, irrespective of the situation and the circumstances we find ourselves in, that we cannot give up hope and that the dream is still alive for a better country, for a better constituency, and for a better county. It is in these trying times that we need to be strong and our resolve needs to be unshaken. Yes, we understand, as Sophia said, the government is targeting those that are very vocal in the ongoing clamor for better governance and better leadership. That has happened before. The government of Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi targeted student leaders, the likes of Gitobu Imanyara, James Orengo, Miguna, but that did not stop them from agitating for better governance. Miguna is as resolved today as he was in the 90s. Same as James Orengo. Well, Orengo appears to have mellowed because last I checked, he still went to State House after telling us that development is not hunted in State House. But a majority of the people who were strong back then are still resilient to this very day. So I think it would be important for us. It behooves us to be as strong as a fig tree and as resilient as, say, an elastic band going forward, because we cannot give up hope. The opportunity cost of giving up on this country is way too expensive. My heart breaks every time I see Kenyans leaving Kenya. Every time I see young people leaving to Saudi Arabia, to Korea, to USA, to Canada, not because I am jealous that they are seeking better opportunities elsewhere, but because I'm seeing a drop in the soldiers, in the fighters for a better country. If we all leave Kenya, then who will fix Kenya? We will give these politicians the leeway to continue manipulating this country, misusing our resources, and abusing our intelligence. And we cannot let that happen. We have to stay and we have to fight so that those that left Kenya in search of better opportunities, some for educational purposes, may have a safe landing coming back to this country. They should feel safe to invest here, to live here, and they would want to educate their kids here. That is the Kenya I want. And that is a dream, and we must keep it alive.
Okay. For you guys, maybe you can start with maybe Alam. How has the month of June has been? Yes, the youths have gone to the streets. The clamor for change has been there. Do you feel like the Kenyan youths and the Gen Zs have achieved anything?
Personally, the month of June, all of a sudden, from last year, it has become the month where the youths, the young people fear for their lives. And you are not sure if you will get to July. And if we remember, even during our protest last year, a lot of youths were not killed on the month of June, but many of them were killed on the coming month of July, and some of them were hunted up to August and September. So June has become a defining moment for young people, defining moment that the young people are awakened to the realization of getting to know more of what is going on in the leaderships, and that is a good thing. But the question of if we have achieved or not, I think as young people, we have achieved a lot at a very short time. Okay. The young people of this country have never been taken serious. And we have for long been seen like people who just follow some people and people who cannot get directions for themselves. But that one has changed within a span of 1 year. And now the youths are coming out and even shaping the narrative out there. The politicians, the career politicians who have been there for like I don't know when, are now trying to tailor their arguments and their manifestos around what do the youths think. So generally, the month of June is that month that the real freedom of the young people is realized. But again, it's a month that many youths fear for their lives, especially like us who are on the forefront. We fear a lot, but we are very resilient because we know we are going to win in one way or another. We must be there. We must win this war.
Okay.
Yeah.
Obong, we had the sad news of the death of Boniface Karaoke, the mask vendor. How did that make you feel?
Personally, I have a mixed feeling. First, because as a young man, it's now become so hard for us to live freely in this country. Youths, right now we have to walk with eyes at the back of our heads because you don't know the time and the hour that you're going to be taken away to some places no one knows. And actually, it's a very dark month for us. But I think we are winning. We are winning, and that's why they are more concerned. They are coming up with schemes and ways to incite us and against the business community and against the police through the things that are happening now. They even go to the extent of buying guns and come and rob people. You see now the people who do business may look us at a very different angle. So I think it's a tough battle, but I know we are going to win. And so far we have our wins. Of course, the finance bill failed last year and people have lived well since then. But again, we have to keep on the fight. We have to call them out. We have to hold our leaders accountable, and we have to make sure that everything reflects on the other end of our economic status.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Mr. Waweru? 1 year down the line, June 2024 and June 2025, what changes have you seen? Has the government remained the same? Has it become worse? How has it been for you?
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to send my condolences to the people who lost their loved ones on Wednesday during the anniversary of the June 25th demonstration. According to me, nothing has changed in the government, just the old politician who are recycled in the cabinet. Nothing changed. What we were calling for: better governance, accountability, end of corruption. Nothing has changed. So police brutality towards the young people, peaceful protesters, we are just seeing the same things are repeating themselves, that we are calling the government to come out and stop doing them. So what I can say, we are focused, we are not giving up, we are going to hit the street more harder. We are too broke to buy fear.
Okay.
And personally, I'm dead inside, so threatening me by death, that is very unwise for someone.
Morphin, how do you feel about this whole scenario? How has June been, that the protest, the climax on 25th? We have added, yes, we say over 60 youths died last year, and now this time more than 19 have died. How do you feel about the whole situation?
It's very, very sad, especially knowing that this has become more of now a custom. It's been adopted by most of Kenyans, not only from the Gen Zs, but including the millennials. We have even our grandfathers and our grandmothers, they now relate to the Gen Z spirit. And this is something that we as a people should be proud of, simply because we are all advocating for change and for better governance. But every time we get to June 25th, it becomes hazardous. It becomes chaotic, not from our side, but from the state, or rather from the government. We've seen not once, not twice, life having been taken away. We've seen businesses being vandalized. We've seen people being abducted. And this has necessitated a lot of mixed reaction from the public. Yeah? We have people who are now against it. We have people who are very, very much into it simply because of the spirit and the ideology that they have in them. But now, because the government has decided to take a different stand, and they've decided to oppress us, and they've decided to make, or rather to tarnish the Gen Z name, they are going to extra miles, like hiring goons. We've seen lots of them being brought into town, being ferried by police vehicles. We've seen them using police vehicles to do their shoddy work in town. And all this is simply to make us, or rather to tarnish the name of the Gen Zs. Okay. Well, I can't say all is bad. We also have the good side of it. Now, we know and we understand that the whole citizenry is actually rallying behind us, because we are all going through the same drain that this government is taking us through. And now, simply because not all of them have the capability or the power to voice out their grievances, they entrust us, some of us, or the Gen Zs, to do it on their behalf. And as long as we have the support of the people behind us, then we can equally say that we are strong enough to push forward. It may seem difficult, it may seem impossible, but where there is a will, there is a way. And overall, the citizen has the supreme power.
Okay. Getting to you, Sophie, I would like you to answer maybe the president and maybe the government. Over the course of this week, they have called the protest as a coup, an attempted coup by the young people. The president called this anarchy dressed in freedom colors. What would you like to tell him? How would you answer about these allegations of this being an attempted coup?
The response of the president is clearly a show of denial. Is clearly a show of a man who is filled with a lot of big manship, that he feels like he's up here and us we're down here, so we can't tell him anything. He has failed to read the room. He has failed to listen to the very people that he represents. Article 1 says that sovereign power belongs to the people, and the people can exercise that right directly or indirectly. I like the fact that it starts with directly. So directly means I can come to State House and I can tell you that I'm tired of your leadership and I can take back my power. We've seen it happen in Sri Lanka. We've seen it happen in Bangladesh. The people, power, the voice of the people is the voice of God. So at this particular moment, what I would like to tell the president, he asked us, he must go. Where should he go?
Yeah.
How should he go?
Yeah.
There's so many ways. But for starters, in all ways of showing that he's a noble man, would be to resign and to tell Kenyans that he can't do this job. I'd like to remind him that he led the Kibaki must go utterances during his time. So he shouldn't come out and pretend that he is naive and ignorant of how he should go. The way he expected Kibaki to go at that time when he was saying Kibaki must go, I expect you to do the same exact thing. Resign, or allow us, the people, to come to State House and to tell you that we're tired of your leadership. So you can go. But eventually, no matter how much you try to delay it, the ballot time shall come and we shall vote you out and this entire regime, because, Edwin, the problem is not Ruto. The problem is the system that Ruto and his cohorts have created. In fact, if you look at this parliament, it's full of MPs who are not first-time MPs. Duale brags of being in the same parliament with Ruto at the same time. So these people have been creating laws that suit them, that enable them to stay in power longer. For instance, the Cybercrime Act, who brought it to parliament? It's Duale. So they have created things that allow them to stay in power and orchestrate power longer for them. They're going to the extent of asking East African countries what they will do with the Gen Z uprising, because the Gen Z uprising in Kenya is influencing other Gen Zs in East Africa. So what are they planning to do to ensure they stay in power longer?
Okay.
Yeah.
But guys, maybe how we know Ruto is, his demeanor is, do you think he's a guy who is going just to resign?
Of course not.
Of course not. You have said
and
that.
Even if we get him out through the ballot, he will not just go.
Okay. maybe Mulamba, the constitution has stipulated other ways a president can come out of office in Article 144 and 145. Do you think any of that is possible?
It appears the Holy Spirit is in this room. I was in Article 146.
Okay.
I was refreshing myself as to how the president can leave office.
Okay.
Because he's obsessed with the how, he's forgotten the when.
He's obsessed with the how.
He's forgotten the when, because the when could be tomorrow, today. Now let's dig into the how, because he appears to be
Okay, go ahead.
quite enamored by the how. Vacancy in the office of the president, according to Article 146, could occur on 3 grounds. 1, if the president dies. I don't think Ruto is going to die anytime soon, because history has proven to us that bad people outlive time. So he's safe. If he resigns in writing, addressed to the Speaker of the National Assembly, or if he ceases to hold office under Article 144 or Article 145.
Yeah.
Article 145 speaks about the impeachment of the president.
Yeah.
So that gives us another way the president can be removed from office. Now, this is an interesting twist, because we have some hooligans in Parliament, to call them, just like Mbadi is fond of skunks in Parliament, who are not interested in impeaching the president. Possibly because their pockets are well fattened, or because they have vested interest with the government of the day. Tell me why Kalonzo Musyoka, with his 25 MPs, cannot marshal numbers with Gachagua and Wamalwa to impeach the president. Because they tell us that they really hate Ruto as much as we do, the Gen Zs.
Yeah.
If they are not merely paying lip service to this conversation, then why is it so difficult for them? After all, they have the numbers and they have the backing of international bodies to institute an impeachment against the president. Why is Gachagua insisting on a one-term narrative? Why should we wait till 2027? With the current economic setup and the current violation of human rights and the current setup we have today in Kenya, the volatile political atmosphere, do you think Kenyans have the patience to wait till 2027? The narrative has shifted from one term to half term. A majority of the Gen Zs agree to this. And the political leaders and their parties pretend and belie that they associate themselves with the half-term narrative. Then they should be true to their word and impeach the president, or institute a motion to impeach the president to honor they have an effort towards this. Because they need a third of the members of parliament, I think that's around 100, to move that motion into the first reading, second reading, and third reading. They can marshal those numbers. They can if they want to. They don't want to. Why? Because possibly the executive is bankrolling Kalonzo, Gachagua, Wamalwa. What interest do they have with Ruto? That now they have the patience to wait till 2027 with this current regime. What is there to wait for? We've gone through the possibility of an impeachment, the possibility of dying, and as I see it, Ruto is not going to die anytime soon. So we left with the resignation. Ruto is stubborn. He's as obstinate as Adolf Hitler was. And he's not going to resign without being forced into it. We have to force his hand. And he knows that himself. And all those around him know that. They know how strong-headed he is. Well, because one is an aggressive fellow, which is probably to his credit, because his aggressiveness has gotten him to where he is today. But he's a strong-willed fellow. And I would rather have a strong-willed fellow who was benevolent enough to develop this country and to transform this country. He's strong-willed in the wrong direction, in a way that he would be willing to kill to protect his name and to protect power and to cling to power till 2027. So Ruto is not the guy you're going to shake out of office with mere words. We have to show him action. And that is why we invoke Article 1 again. The drafters of Article 1, in their wisdom, gave us a good document, a good chapter, a good article on the sovereignty of the power of the people. But they inadvertently left out some very important clauses that we need we need to fix in the constitution. We need to entrench in the constitution the power of the people to recall their president, to recall their governor, to recall their senator, to recall their women reps, and all other leaders in this country. And the process should be smooth. And the process should be fastidious. Why do I say this? I say this because we have a women rep, and we have women reps in this country who do not understand their job description. We have women reps whose sole qualification was beauty. The likes of Esther Passaris, who has said that she's willing to introduce a bill that will make it harder for the protesters to protest. She's telling us that in her bill, that bill will designate areas of protest. And that bill will condone state offices in a way that protesters cannot access these public offices, and they will have to keep off 100 meters from these public offices, say Parliament, State House, and so on. Surely, what is this kind of nonsense? What is the obsession to stifle democracy in Kenya?
Okay.
And she blankets our whole conversation around the fact that she's saying she's trying to ameliorate, improve, and make democracy better by ensuring that we do not lose our lives, that there is order in protests, and so on. The language of the devil blanketed in angelic voice. These are the things we need to change. Why am I saying that we need to have a provision to recall our women reps? One, to rid ourselves of creatures, the likes of Karen Nyamu, the likes of Esther Passaris, people who have no business in parliament. And besides recalling our women reps, we also need to have a constitutional provision to recall our governors, our senators, and the president. Today, as we speak, there are only 2 constitutional provisions for recall. You can recall your member of parliament and your member of county assembly, but you cannot recall your governor. Imagine the people of Isiolo have had to stomach the idiosyncrasy and the nonsense from their governor for 2 years now. The governor who allegedly bought a crate of soda for 1 million shillings. They have no reprieve in law whatsoever. If they wanted to recall their governor, they would have to beg, and they would be at the mercies of the members of county assemblies for them to impeach their governor. They cannot do that directly. If we had a provision to recall President William Ruto, we would not be protesting in the streets. We would be busy collecting signatures. We would be busy camping at the IEBC offices to push IEBC to verify the signatures we presented to them. We would be busying ourselves with the entire process of recalling a president constitutionally, but we do not have that. Because Article 1 tells us how we can indirectly exercise our power. That is by voting in representatives who will do the roles assigned in the Constitution, but does not tell us how to directly exercise our power. One may say that we might exercise our power directly through voting or through public participation, but most of these exercises are perfunctory. So how do we then give to ourselves the power to recall the president? Because it's the biggest headache right now. I know we have bad women reps, bad senators, and bad governors, but our biggest headache as a country right now is William Ruto.
Okay, just to ask a question. There's been this talk about, let's just take maybe to the women rep position. Most people have said it's supposed to be recalled and all that. Don't you think if that is put into action, it's going to counter the affirmative action role these things are supposed to be playing? Even maybe you have mentioned an example of a nominated, maybe senator and MP, maybe like Karen Nyamu.
I do not have a problem with women reps or nominated MPs. I have a problem with the few individuals who are nominated into parliament, but their entire business is dancing on TikTok. Their entire business is wasting our time on cheap gossip and tea. That's where the problem is, because we have splendid women reps, impeccable representatives out here who are doing their legislative roles and representative roles in parliament correctly. We do not have a shortage of that. But there are a few apples spoiling the entire basket. And that is where the biggest bone of contention is. People feel we do not need the women rep position because there are few eggs that are spoiling the broth for the rest of the other women reps. If we could deal with these rogue elements, and by the way, the problem is still with Kenyans. Most times as I'm pointing at other people, I know there are 3 fingers pointing at me. These same Kenyans elect their women reps based purely on beauty. Tell me why. I was in a WhatsApp group looking at the possible candidates for a particular county for the women rep position. And the entire discussion was centered on if she's beautiful or not. How good looking is she? How presentable is she? So it tells us that we have a wrong culture and a wrong standard of gauging who qualifies to be a women rep or not. Because it appears to Kenyans that a women rep position is supposed to be a cosmetic position. They have forgotten that a women rep is an affirmative action position for a member of parliament. They are constitutionally, they are as good MPs as the MPs elected through the member of parliament slot. But they do not carry out their roles in parliament. And that tells us the problem is still inherent in us, in that we need to review how we view leadership, especially when it comes to women. And this is not limited to the women rep position alone, by the way. When you go to positions, say the governor's position or the senatorial position, Kenyans apply the same metric to women, but not to men. No one cares if a gubernatorial candidate is handsome or not, but they care if a gubernatorial candidate or a senatorial candidate who is female is pretty or not. So that begs the question, are we voting in beauty or are we voting in value? So we also need to change our value systems as Kenyans.
Okay, and maybe to this side, it's a question he has mentioned about beauty over performance, but you find in our country, even when someone is also vying, we look at other things around how deep his pockets are, his influence, or how loud he is, and even how he performs. How do you say about that, Obang?
I think just when he was sharing about us electing women rep based on beauty, and I just remember that we elected our governor because he has dimples. And now it's not coincidence that we have dimples all over our roads. And so I'm shocked about that. First of all, it's a matter of us going back to ourselves. As Kenyans, for a long time, we are voting based on our emotions and being reactionary. But I think it's a wake-up call to us to elect people based on their capability and a track record of good work to the service of the people, which I find that we still have a long way to go, because as at now, there are still some other Kenyans who still believe in this crop of leaders that we've had over the years, and they believe that we still should recycle the same leaders, and they actually don't believe in the leadership of the young men who will bring in new ideologies and new systems that will work in the favor of us Kenyans. So I think we have a long way to go, but I hope we learn.
Okay. Alam, we have explored the ways of getting the president out of office, in particular getting President Ruto out of office. You have said out of his demeanor is a person you don't expect him to resign. But then when we stick to parliament or the legislature, we, out of the impeachment of the former deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, we saw maybe the opposition did not get to marshal enough numbers to save Gachagua. Do you still think it's still something that is viable for parliament? In either way, we have said the legislature has been put in the pocket of the president. Is there any hope in the legislature marshalling numbers and impeaching William Ruto?
You see, there is where we are having a problem. And I keep on saying, and this one I say it all the time, whether I'm in an interview, I'm in a rally, that we just get it wrong in one place where we should get it right. I keep on asking people, if only we can get it right in parliament, most of this thing you're seeing around haziwezi zikakuwa. Because we have parliamentarians who, I can say they have absconded, because what they are doing now is not within their mandate, what they should be doing. So they have totally absconded duty. They have gone to work as executive members of parliament. So they are another wing of the executive, not knowing that they have equal power as that of executive. So there is where we are having problem. You see, during And it is just good that it happened. And I think Ruto should now be very careful. And not only Ruto, any other person who will be elected in future, because now we have seen we have seen, you know, some things were unimaginable. We couldn't imagine that somebody at the level of a deputy president could be impeached. That one was imaginable, but it so happened, whether with the help of those people bought by the executive then or what, but it happened. So Kenyans now know that it is not something that cannot happen. It is something that is very possible. So if only we can get it right in Parliament, if we can have legislatures who can go there to work not for the executive or for their pockets, because these people actually, they don't even work for the executive. These people work for their greed. We'll call it that. They majorly work, they don't like Ruto, but they like the money that Ruto is giving them. So they are working entirely for their greed, their personal greed, the favors they get by just being close to the president. And that one is what we are calling into change of systematic change. Because we have had a character that, you know, we got a new constitution. And the new constitution, in as much as we got a new constitution, the people who are there to ensure that the new constitution is followed are an extension of the people who were there before we had the constitution. You can tell me about anybody around Raila. They have been there since Raila began his journey into politics.
Yeah.
If you ask me about Kalonzo, he has been there. Those people around him, very close people, have been there. And they are consistently being elected to the parliament. So we got a new constitution, but we got people who had already made it comfortable for them to follow the old ways. So there is where we are having a problem. Okay. So once we can start, and I'm very happy that the young people are trying to get into politics, because these young people were not there. The only document they will know is the current document. We don't know about the document that Kenyatta used, even though we can refer to it when we want to make argument, but we don't really refer to it as much. So the document we know is the document we are having now. So we can impeach Ruto as the people. And the only way that we are having to impeach Ruto as the people, because that is the only option now the people have, because the people, wanaambiwa, you can exercise your powers directly. But when you ask, can we initiate the process of impeaching a president, then you are told that one can only be done in parliament. So that one, you are limited. The people are now again limited from exercising their powers directly as the constitution tells them. So you find that now the people have one thing remaining. And this is the civil disobedience that you are seeing around. Because that is what they call as helpless villagers. That is now what is left for the helpless villagers. Civil disobedience. And that is what we are going to do. We are in a middle of revolution. People should know that these are not ordinary times. What we are experiencing right now in Kenya has only been experienced twice in the history of this country. One was experienced in the 1950s when we are agitating for independence. And again, it was experienced in the late 1980s towards 1990. And now we are having it right now. And we are having it with a more informed society, with a more woke youth who know what they want.
What we can agree on maybe is that the constitution that maybe it's supposed to uphold us and how we do things The people who are supposed to be the biggest implementers of the constitution, they're still the people who still break it. You can answer on that.
Yeah, that is very true. We've seen it time. It's happened before, and it will keep on happening. These are the people, they are more of the custodian of the constitution. We have given them the powers to actually protect it, as much as we as the citizens also is our mandate to make sure that we uphold and protect the constitution. The powers actually we decided to divide them so that we can have different arms of the government to come together and uphold the constitution, right? Part of these arm of the government is the police. They are the ones who are supposed to be enforcing it, but now we are seeing them doing contrary to what is expected. It will in the year of our former president Mwai Kibaki. I'm not really sure whether we had these cases of arbitrary arrest and death by disappearance. Whether they were there or not, it wasn't that very much loud. Right now, it is very, very audible. Everybody, in fact, not only in Kenya, but across the entire world is talking about this. If it is not the fight that is happening in Israel, it is just about Kenya. And one thing I think that we, the young generation, have decided is that we've seen the years of neglect, we've seen the years of torture and lamentation that our parents have gone through, and the harsh economic times that has not even made it better for them. Now we have been born, and we are now finding ourselves in the same cycle. It keeps on recurring and recurring. Now we, as the younger generation, we've decided that we must be the bumps that is going to slow down whatever is happening. Okay. And as much as they are trying to sell out the narrative that it is not perfect to the whole of the East African region, in fact, we want to tell each and every youth in the African region, they better watch out. Now, this is going actually to the governments. Let them watch out, because a revolution usually starts from a single point. It gains momentum, and by the time now everybody realizes what is happening, it's a whole movement. We are actually not just Kenyans and all. And actually, it's very important for them to understand that we as Kenyans youth, we are very powerful. They can go ahead and try to sell the fallacy that they are trying right now about how protesting is not good. But if we decide as the youth of Kenya that we want to call a continental demonstration and hold our governments accountable, why not? We will. Yeah. We have the capability to do it. It is not about the leadership that we have. It is not about Ruto. It is not about this regime. It is about us. We have decided that you're going to stand firm and you're going to articulate our issues and grievances. And since the government does not want to be held accountable, we understand they have the machinery to eliminate us if they wish, if they so wish. We even saw they went ahead and blacked us out of internet for some few hours on the day of Maandamano on 25th. They did that. They switched off the television network so that we would be in darkness. Whatever happens to us, let it happen. And you see, that is the case as to why we have the incident of OTC. It shouldn't have happened, but it happened simply because of the negligence and bad governance. Okay. Such things usually happen. So right now, as the Gen Z, we are no longer going to be silenced. In whatever way, we are going to advocate for it. Our government does not want to understand that. We elected them so that we can hold them responsible. It is our duty. It is us who are supposed to do that. If we do not do that, then I'm not expecting somebody from Uganda and Tanzania to come and hold them accountable. Okay. It is supposed to be me. And if I don't do that, then I'll be failing my constitutional obligations.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. To you, Mr. Waweru, we say the government has also played the political and ethnicity card out of the previous demonstrations. Just the ones we have had in June. How would you say about the government trying to paint a picture, or even the political class trying to paint a picture that maybe these demonstrations and the youths came from only one community, from one part of the country?
Okay, thank you. The main agitation remains the call for reforms. Mm-hmm. After analyzing CS Kipchumba Murkomen's sentiment and solution, having witnessed what happened on Wednesday, I felt sad. I felt a remote sympathy for my country, Kenya. If people like Kipchumba Murkomen are the one who are interpreting to the president the cause of agitation in the country, then the president is doomed and doomed from within. What the president is being told, it's the Agikuyu uprising or the Agikuyu rejection, that people from Mount Kenya or the youth from Mount Kenya are rejecting his leadership. That is very false. We as the youth, we already made it clear we are tribeless, we are leaderless, and we are united as the youth of Kenya. So trying to portray a certain community, Mount Kenya, that's saying those youths came from Mount Kenya who are rooting, vandalizing people's business, and protesting, that's a lie. They are lying to the president. Yeah.
Okay, and maybe one of you can come in. The same call was there last year, and people said maybe that was a mistake that happened in last year's revolution. The Gen Z said they were tribeless, they were youthless, they were leaderless, they were partyless. Okay, I would like to hear maybe one of your opinions.
Just before we move to that, I just want to add something small kwa nani Waweru. You see, the politicians, there is this politics they are used to. The Kenyan politician, there is this type of politics they are used to. Like, it is either you are coming from the lake, coming from the mountain, and then who are you aligned with? You see? And that thing has been on their mind for a very long time. You see, this tribe thing is just a pawn on a very on the game of politics. It is just used for the sake of it. But even themselves, they don't believe on that tribe thing they are talking about. One, they don't believe on the tribe thing. They believe on their individualism and what they can gain with by using their tribes to get success in the making of executive. People for long have associated Raila Odinga with something I would call wanting a better Kenya, quote unquote. But was that really what he has been agitating for? Right now, he has really shown us that it was only missing on the table. So if he can be on the table, then everything that he has been talking about can be watered down by the fact that it's only on the table. We, the young people of this country, are very clear on what we are saying. We know that is their game and they want to play it, the tribal card. They want to use all the manner of tribes. The young people came out all over Kenya. Not only in Central. Yeah. And if you want to give my brothers in Central peace kidogo, we had Gachagua in government last year. And then last year, we also had the Gen Z uprising. So this one is an extension of it. The Gen Z uprising last year, were they also manufactured by Gachagua? Then all the ODM MPs and Wiper and all those people who were in opposition voted no for the finance bill. All of them voted no. So opposition was then, or the majority of opposition areas, including Nyanza, Eastern and Mombasa and some parts of Western, were in opposition then. And people came out all over those places. So basically what I'm trying to say is that this issue of tribe is getting into their game. If the moment the young people will lose focus and start discussing about tribe, mimi ni Mjaluo. I know, you don't need to keep on reminding me that mimi ni Mjaluo so that I know. Huyu ni Mjaluo pia. You don't have to tell him all the time, wewe ni Mjaluo, you should hate Sophie over there because, we are not talking about issues of being a Luo. Actually, for the citizens of Kenya, it is more important to have this flag than even to be a Luo. It is of more value to defend the flag and the unity in Kenya than to be a Luo. And this is what we are saying, because this is where we have been missing the point. As I'm finishing. I, Elisha Victor Chieng Alam, will not care who becomes president if I know that person is going to follow the rule of law. Because when they are going to follow the rule of law, then, in Amanisha, if there is MV Uhuru, which is supposed to be built in Lake Victoria, isafirishe watu, it is going to be built. It doesn't have to for us to wait until we greet Uhuru Kenyatta so that MV Uhuru, the ship, is built there. If barabara ya kupita kwetu is supposed to be built and ishapitishwa kwa the procedures of parliament, then inamaanisha inafaa ijengwe without us even meeting the executive. So that is what we are talking about as young people. We don't care who becomes president. And as I talk, in fact, right now, the young people, we should focus and try to elect somebody who is from a very small tribe. So that these people know that it doesn't matter the tribe you're coming from.
I think just to add on what you have shared, Kenyans, it's high time you realize that this tribal politics is a card. It is a card that they pull when they are being investigated after robbing us, after stealing from us, by the ESCC and the DCI and the CID. That's when they identify with us. But when they steal, they share the spoils with the people in their oikos and their family and their relatives and people they know. But when they are being followed and held accountable, now they become my tribe. It's a time that we have to unite. When I'm on the streets, I'm next to Sophie Nje here. I'm here in Obongo. But that doesn't show, that doesn't count. It's a water that I drink. When the bullets are being sprayed and I'm next to Waweru, the bullets can catch me as well. It doesn't catch Waweru because she's from the mountain and I'm from the lake. So Kenyans, this is a war that it's deeply rooted, and we have to uproot it. As young people, it is our responsibility. That's why I get so frustrated when I see a fellow young man still riding on the tribal narrative. Kenyans, it's so deep. It's deeper than we think. So it's high time we fight this fight, that knowing that you are my brother. You are my brother, regardless of where you come from. And it concerns us because it's our future we are fighting for and our children. So what will they say? I want our children to remember that we stood for something. We stood against tribalism. We stood against nepotism. We stood against all these manners and the weapons they prepared to intimidate and frustrate us and to marginalize us from developing our country.
Yeah, and just but to add on it, it's also important for the young people to understand that this is their tactics they get to employ each and every time. Now, what the oppressing regime does not understand is that by the time we go to where we are, by the time we go to June 25th of last year, that is 2024, we had already established ourselves. When you were saying tribeless, you are not just mentioning tribeless because we wanted to, because it's a fancy word. We were not doing that. When you say that we are leaderless, we were not saying that just to impress people. We meant it completely. And right now, I believe, even if they try to bring all those charades that they're parading every now and then about tribalism and trying to associate that with the current Gen Z, then I think they are trying extremely too hard.
Okay.
They should understand right now that it does not matter. For us, it does not matter who is coming from where. As long as you are a Gen Z, we resonate together. As long as you are a Gen Z, you have the spirit, then we are actually resonating together. It is just but a fallacy they are trying to shell and then throw it at us so that we can lose our direction and focus. But right now, we are so much determined that it does not matter where they say or who says it. We are not tribeless. You're not going to buy into that thing about tribalism.
The Gen Z force, because it is our force, has decimated the career politicians in this country. We have completely finished them. They are done and dusted. And why do I say this? Because when we adopted the mantra of tribelessness, partylessness, and leaderlessness, we killed politics in this country, and we changed how politics has been conducted in this country for centuries. I mean, for decades. Why am I saying so? Some cult politicians made it impossible for vibrant young leaders in their parties to rise up. They have intentionally stifled the upcoming leaders in their parties, leaving them with no option other than toe the line. When we said we are partyless, we killed that narrative. We gave ourselves a different brand, and we sold the idea to Kenyans that it is possible to represent the people and to fight for the people without belonging to a particular party, because we had been constrained to that way of doing politics for so long.
Okay.
If the ODM party did not come up with the idea of demonstrations, and they did not come up with a bill because they have been in the opposition for a long period of time, then the rest of the country was docile. And that was the situation. If Raila did not say, let's move towards this direction, no one was willing to take that direction. This was left to a few civil society groups and a few activists who've constantly kept at this, the likes of Okiya Omtata. But the rest of the country was okay with this. The rest of the country was okay with malfeasance, with impunity, with corruption. So we've changed the narrative. We've shown the people of Kenya that they can rise up and fight for themselves. In fact, we've awoken the Mau Mau spirit, and that is dangerous. They do not want that. We have killed tribalism in Kenya as the Gen Zs. And we've also killed the leader, the cult leadership kind of personality that Matiang'i elevates himself as the kingpin of Kisii. Kalonzo elevates himself as the kingpin of the Kamba people. So we've killed that leader cult-like personality thing. And that we are saying we are not leaderless because we like it and because it is the best foot forward. But in this leaderless, whatever they call planless, leaderless stuff, we've achieved a lot because we've shown Kenyans that teamwork will grant this country better political parties and better leadership than following some demigods and some tribal kingpins. And that is dangerous. The mixture and the concoction of a leaderless society, a tribeless society, and a partyless society is dangerous to the political establishment we have, because their rallying call and their way of marshalling numbers has been almost grounded to tribes and tribalism, to a certain political figurehead and a certain political party. So when you kill all this and you sprout amongst yourselves new leaders, new political parties, because the Gen Zs are already forming parties, and you kill the tribalism narrative, then you've taken over. You've taken over the control of politics, and that is something the political class, the elite, do not want, because we've reshaped and changed the narrative, and now our parents are looking up to us and they are saying, you guys make a lot more sense and you would make better leaders than the current crop we have. In Ukambani, they would say, probably we do not need Kalonzo anymore. In fact, what has he been helping us with? In the Nyanza region, they have already come to the conclusion that Raila Odinga is not the go-to guy if they are benchmarking for better leadership. And that will span across every other county and every other tribe in Kenya. And they will come to a realization that a Kuria could make as a good president, just as a Kisii would, just as a Borana would, just as a Kenyan Somali would. And it doesn't really matter which part of Kenya or which tribe you belong to, but your ideology, your commitment to the constitution, and your general track record and attitude towards leadership should qualify you for any position in Kenya. That would have the likes of Dawood, Kenyan Indian as an MP in Meru. We would have more Dawoods. We would have more Junets in that Junet is not born Luo. but is in Suna East as an MP, we would have more Junets all over Kenya. That it wouldn't matter if I'm Luo and I'm vying in Meru, that I am Kenyan Somali and I'm vying in the coast. People would not look at my ethnicity as a qualification for leadership. And we've dismantled the entire political establishment. And that is good news in this country, because we have freed ourselves and unfettered ourselves from the politics of conmanship and from the colonial style of politics that has bedeviled us for so long.
Waweri, you want to add on something?
Oh, was to add on that tribal narrative. I want to ask the young people, especially those who are being refunded from Mount Kenya. They were the one who came up and rejecting William Ruto leadership or regime. I want to ask them, when Rigathi Gachagua was the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, what change did it impact into their life as people from that region? No way. He was given the work to work on tea reforms, milk, nothing has changed. Me personally, my life when Gachagua was in power has not changed in any way, and after he left power. So trying to sell us the tribal narrative, we cannot buy that narrative. And I want to ask the Gen Z to come out every time they hear there is a protest, to come out, do peaceful protest, because if we don't terminate Kasongo's dictatorship, we'll go down in history as a failed generation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Still on the same, and we agree, or maybe we are all in agreement that Gen Zs are the tribal card, they don't fall into it, they don't do that. But then, lessons, as I was asking, lessons from last year, yes, they said they were tribeless, they were partyless and all that, but still in last year's revolution, or in the last year revolt, we saw some popular Gen Zs who did stand as the leader or like the face of this revolution, who eventually did betray the revolution. What makes it happen that it won't happen this time around, or even for you guys, some 2 years down the line, we won't see you eating in the same table with these oppressors? Yeah, Sophie.
Allow me to answer, even as I contribute to the question about tribal politics. Tribal politics, as it is being used at the moment, it's being used as a distraction. Because since Wednesday, the only thing that has been coming out of the mouth of those who are our representatives at the moment is that this was a Kikuyu-led thing. I'm a Kikuyu. In fact, if it's about taking pride out of it,
Yeah.
I take full pride of it, because then that means our tribe is a very powerful tribe, if that is the narrative they're trying to purport. Mm-hmm. But in my thinking, it is a distraction. A distraction from what? Right now, nobody's talking about Albert's death and the case and why DIG Lagat has not been taken or arrested or resigned. Right now, nobody is talking about the case of Boniface. So now we are all talking about how this situation is a tribal situation. It is a distraction. In fact, it is pure politics at play right here. If it was a tribal thing, tell me why we have 27 counties out, including the counties of those who are talking, you know? So if it is a matter of, I think they're just threatened by our mobilization power, because for you to be the ruling party in Kenya, you need 24 counties plus. If it is a matter of mobilization and a matter of power in taking political power, then we have the numbers as the Gen Zs, because we have 27 counties. In every revolution, there has to be traitors. Even in the Mau Mau revolt, we had Dedan Kimathi was betrayed from within. So I cannot stand here and tell you, even this year, there won't be people who will betray the revolution. In fact, we're already seeing them, because they're trying to distract the narrative. It's already there. The interviews that have happened this week are clear show that some of us could be working with the government. I like the fact that we have been leaderless, we have been partyless, we have been tribeless. But in my opinion, and this is my personal opinion as Sophie, we can no longer continue to be leaderless. In fact, it is our weakest link that we are leaderless. Because if you come to the ground, our leaderlessness contributes to our disorganization during protests.
Yeah.
We go to a protest with a goal, but the fact that there is nobody to show direction to the masses that have come out, we end up being all over the place
That was the question.
with nothing to do.
Yeah.
Like on Wednesday, if we wanted to get to State House, we would have eaten lunch at State House. But our problem was our leaderlessness, because people were listening to this voice and this voice and this voice. There were so many voices at play. We can no longer continue to be partyless, because now the conversation has shifted from activism to political conversations. In fact, as Sophie, I do not like being termed as an activist. I enjoy being called a politician because I am in the political game. I am forging to take political power. I'm not here to just be a noisemaker and say, oh, Kenya kuna corruption, oh, Kenya tunaibiwa, polisi wanaua. No, I am here to sit at the decision-making table to make policies that change this nation in a good direction. So I dare to say that as a movement, we need to take a step back first before we continue our agitation. We need to first take a step back and first of all ask ourselves, do we all want the same thing? Because clearly, everybody wants something different. Do you know Raila Odinga has been an activist in his own way, and he has learned the activism game, and that is why since the times for minimal reforms and no election, no reforms, he chose to take a handshake for minimal reforms. During the time of this one now, hii ya juzi ya Ruto must go, in fact Ruto must go ilianza na Raila, Ruto must go ndio alianzisha, but he saw a ground for negotiation, and he took it, and now he's in government. Albert died. Albert ametoka which community? Have you seen those people in government standing up to say that Albert needs justice? Hakuna ni statements fulani hapo wanatoa hapo ati we empathize and we...
They said you can't teach us how to mourn. Sire your own children.
Do you get what I'm trying to tell you? So
That was
right
the
now...
saddest thing to say.
Exactly. The conversation in this movement needs to shift to be pure politics.
Okay.
On that, I think right now we will be very intentional to call out even some people who have also been career activists. Hii game ya agitation si tumeingia juzi. Lakini there are those people who have been here for as long as I remember. They don't want real solutions.
Yes.
Because struggle ikisha takulia wapi?
Yes.
They don't
Those
want
are
real
reformists.
solutions.
Struggle ikisha takulia wapi?
But those are reformists, and reformers
Atapiga
never
picha
want this
aonyeshe watu
country.
wametokea kwa street kuteta juu ya nini struggle ikisha.
Wakomboka.
No, in
ndio
fact
kazi
wao
yao.
wako job.
If Ruto leaves and someone better comes there,
They are
Ruto- there will
finished.
be real.
Yeah.
EJ, I think these people are my good friends, and they are dodging around, just saying the truth as it is. I will say it as it is. Boniface Mwangi is a con man and a scammer. Tell me why, when in the heat of the 2024 protests, when we said we do not want to negotiate with this government, Boniface Mwangi was secretly trying to organize a meeting with President William Ruto. For what? And he went on to Twitter crying and decrying the lack of audience and the denial of audience by the president. What did he want to tell Ruto? When we said we do not want to negotiate with Ruto, what business do you have talking with Ruto? What grounds are you going to agree on and agree with? Boniface Mwangi is a career activist and he's wasting our time. And the faster and the sooner people realize this, we are going to unfit ourselves from some of these commercial activists. Tell me why Boniface Mwangi was obsessed about one single protest, June 25th.
Yeah.
To him, Albert Ojwang's death was not important. To him, Boniface Kariuki's death is not important. To him, the finance bill was not important. To him, the budget was not important. Myself, Ochieng and Stula, well, we call him Stula, started the discussion on no justice, no budget. When we were agitating for justice for the death of Albert Ojwang and what unfortunately happened to him. And we said we are going to march to the National Treasury. but they had blocked all roads.
Yeah.
So we started the slogan that if we are not going to get justice for Albert and DIG Lagat is not going to resign, then we should not have that budget. No one was talking about the bad budget. Sophie was, and a few other people who are serious about this. But who else was? He is not the Boniface Mwangi Kenyan knew. The Boniface Mwangi who fought for justice for the 2007 elections is not the Boniface Mwangi you have today. Same with Raila Odinga. The Raila Odinga was fighting for a better constitution. The Raila Odinga was fighting for genuine presidency.
Yeah.
Is not the Raila Odinga we have today. Mzee has mellowed. He's gotten comfortable with enjoying power without responsibility. So
Even
it is
depends what deals.
yes,
that
it
they
is
are done.
time. It is time we start rethinking some of these figureheads we have in Kenya, in politics and in activism.
But do
on
you
that-
get why I'm arguing that the conversation needs to change to be pure politics?
Okay, yeah, I get you.
And at that point, sorry, we have called out Kasmuel sana.
Kasme Makaure.
Yes. Tumemwambia all bad names.
Yeah.
Hata tumemuona tusiaimuona kwa street. But at some point he talks about things which are really affecting even the demonstration themselves.
Yes.
Because even on the last demonstration, I was with Sophie the entire time. And you hear Kasmuel saying, why in the middle of the demonstration, you get another group of demonstrators enjoying meals on a 5-star hotel, drinking and marrying, while people are out there agitating. And these people who are drinking and marrying were the ones on the forefront of organizing.
Yeah.
We went with Sophie up to Uhuru Highway. When we came back to around, where was that? Around City
Market.
City Market. People were relaxed. And some were even in the shops trying to, having good time. And these are the same people who you see trying to organize. And when they are organizing, they are very serious. They tell you, come out, organize. So the young people should start thinking beyond these people. We are not saying that we are differing, but if that is the language, then so be it. We are not saying that we are different, that now Gen Zs are differing, but the interests are trying to differ here. There are these people who want to call demonstration for the sake of it so that they can enjoy the benefits that comes with those demonstrations in terms of monetary funds and people bringing in money to bankroll them. And there are these people like myself and other patriotic Kenyans. Let me tell you, when you call Kenyans out here, like last week, there were more than, Nairobi alone, there were almost up to 1 million Kenyans who came out.
More than that, actually.
And all these young Kenyans do not benefit from that money these people are collecting. Why do you think they are out? Because they genuinely want change. They genuinely want the end of this police brutality. They genuinely. That is why they came out. And then now there is this group of people who want people to come out so that they continue benefiting. And they don't want real change. If you tell them we are going to State House, they will tell you, no, don't. You see, don't. And they will start distancing themselves with that mind of going to State House. Why? People like Okia Mtata. He said, we told people not to go to State House. I was not of the idea that we should go to State House. So why did you come to the street? Because that was our language. We were going to State House. And we are not apologetic to say that we were going to State House. Yeah. The young people were going to State House because we are bitter. We are very angry with the presidency of William Ruto. We realized that a lot of youths right now in the country are being used by the government. If you have seen the youths and the university students, they are being bankrolled by the government. They have been funded. They are bribed every now and then with a little money, peanuts, and they are calling them money. When the executive is running away with billions of money, the youths who the country should be depending on right now are running away with 10,000 shillings. They are accepting as low as even 2,000 shillings to defend that government. We want to tell them that this generation will remember that you failed on your mandate to call the government to order.
Alam, I have a question I had asked earlier. Do you think, yes, we agree there are commercial activists in this revolution, in this movement, there are people who are not genuine, but don't you guys think the government has also succeeded in sowing the seeds of distrust among the people in the revolution?
Yes.
Now, right now, you cannot trust anyone.
Yeah. There is
That, like, everybody say this one is NIS, this one is a project and all that. That's the conversation even on X.
Yeah.
You can't trust anyone.
Yeah. There is that part that tomorrow you will see some crazy person. Iwe unalala tu kwa nyumba yako and then unaona mtu amepiga post ati Alam ni NIS. Unaonanga ananyonga kipara. Huyo mtu ni kwanza ni NIS, ingine hatari sana, ametrain sijui wapi. So there are those crazy people like Guido and the likes who will just wake up one day with some ridiculous stuff. Kenyans know them. I don't think there is any Kenyan who is falling for whatever they are tweeting and or whatever they are talking. But when we sit this way and talk about some issues that people are eating and we are in the middle of the street, we are agitating. Alafu wewe uko juu ya baga. These are real issues we are talking about. Mtu wako juu ya baga, watu wanapigwa risasi kwa barabara. You see, these are real things we are talking about. Unaona? So there is that distrust. And even yesterday, sorry to get to that because it is not something that I wanted to discuss here or to open up to here. But I also heard that this group of, and when you hear something, sometimes most of them, in as much as you cannot trust everything, but at least someone was approached. Ati hii group ya commercial activists have even taken money from Lagat. Can you believe?
Interesting.
Very interesting. And if it can be true, these people have taken money from DIG Lagat and they are trying to quell demonstration. And they are trying to kill the story of Albert. And they are trying to shift the narrative now to something else. In fact, as a revolutionary Gen Z movement, we are more concerned of organizing and taking political power than even demonstrating itself. Because we will demonstrate, yes, but for how long will we make noise on the peripheries? It's also time that we think beyond just making noise on the street. We think on how are we going to make noise on the August House.
Ruto has coup-proofed himself in that he has made necessary changes in the military so that he eliminates the possibility of being taken out by the military. And this comes at a momentous time when Kenyans have already marched to State House and they are willing to march to State House again. And the kind of confusion we have had in this movement, as Sophie says, because we've been leaderless, should be eliminated. Because apart from coming out on Wednesday to honor the heroes and heroines we lost on last year, June 25th, the other agenda was to march to State House. It was clear. In fact, there was an entire timetable on the activities we are supposed to carry out when we get to State House. As I started, I said the president has coup-proofed himself in that he has made necessary changes to the Ministry of Defense. To the Ministry of Defense, to the head of Kenya Army, Kenya Navy, and Kenya Air Force. That eliminates the possibility of being taken out by the military. And I would want to invite the country to look at the definition of a coup, because this has been fronted severally when we discuss the possibility of marching to State House. So, according to international definition, a coup is an organized and an overt illegal attempt to take over power. But this specifies it is not an open-ended thing. That a coup is limited to a military organization or to other government elites trying to unseat an incumbent leadership. Who among us stars here is a military leader? None. Who among us stars here is a government elite? None. So why would you tell us that when we say we are marching to State House and when we actually do it, we are trying to overthrow a government? How do you tell us we're executing a coup? We are not military leaders, we are not government elites. A coup in another language is like the betrayal by those close to you, by those that are in government.
Okay.
If the people decide to march to State House out of their own volition, because they are tired with the president and they are tired with the incumbent leadership, how then is this misconstrued for a coup or overthrowing a government? In fact, this should invoke Article 1 again and say that the people are directly exercising their power. And they are telling the president, we want you gone. We want you to resign. So when the people, the citizens of a country, decide to march to State House in their millions, in their thousands, this cannot be misconstrued for a coup because no one is funding the Gen Z, the genuine Gen Zs. No one is funding us. No one is influencing us. This is a consensus decision by all of us to fight for better governance and to remove Ruto from power. There will not be peace, and there cannot be peace if President Ruto is still the president, because this country is not going to change. The Constitution gives you 5 years, but there isn't a provision that says this is a right. There's a difference between a provision and a right. He does not have the right to rule for 5 years. He has a provision. That provision can be taken back. That is why the MCAs are impeaching their governors. And the people are willing to recall their MPs. So why then wouldn't the people recall their president? Why wouldn't the people institute a people's impeachment by marching to State House? And why should they be sold fear? Why should the government scaremonger us into not marching to State House, telling us that we will be committing treason, that we will be overthrowing a government? Exactly how? By exercising our power directly? In fact, State House is a government institution and it is a public office. And people get to State House every other day. So why would it be so special when we decide to march to State House?
So what you're just basically saying, as the power belongs to the people taking back their power is not a coup.
It's not a coup because I see our dreams answered in other occasions when MCAs are impeaching governors. I wish our MPs were impeaching the president.
Okay.
Our prayers are being answered in other jurisdictions. I wish the recall of MPs and the impeachment of governors was changed to the impeachment of the president. This country would be very happy if a motion of impeachment of the president was tabled in parliament. And no MP should sell us fear that, oh, you know, if I table that motion, they will come after me. Man, they have come after all of us. And we do not have state protection. No one here has state protection. An MP who has state protection, deep connections, and their wherewithal to hire private security tells us that they are afraid of tabling a motion, a constitutional motion to impeach a president, then that to us is bollocks, to be honest.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mulamba. Now, as you're winding up, there's this question we had talked about. Is the government setting up the Gen Zs or the revolutionists against the business community, of how we have seen the goons who have raided their shops and businesses, especially in downtown Nairobi? Is the government deliberately setting up this revolution against the people and the business community?
You know, we are peaceful protesters, and these people understand. The business community understand. In fact, most of them are always supportive. Some of them bring us water and some snacks. But I think that's not going to happen henceforth, especially in the areas where people are affected. You know, once someone believes in something, but then it comes with some effects that directly affect them, then they tend to pull back. And actually, these people turn into your enemy, although they are your allies.
Okay.
So I think the government is deliberately doing this. They even import transport goods to the CBD to come and do their destruction. And they do it without fear in the presence of the police, and the police are actually the ones guarding them to do so. And also the police join them in doing so, so that the protest might be seen at a very different angle. But I urge our people, let's remember the government that we have. It can do anything for power. You've seen the way they are slaughtering young men, they are shooting them, and they've normalized killing people. So please, stand with us, bear with us, and let's keep focus, and let's support this change. Of course, it comes with a lot of it comes with a lot of losses here and there. People have lost their lives. Some have lost their properties. But when the revolution time comes, it comes, man. And we are not pulling back, and we'll continue to fight, and we'll continue believing on the cause.
And just to put some perspective into whatever happened on Wednesday, if you saw where majority of the Gen Zs were, we were from Moi Avenue stretching upwards on the upper side of upper section of the capital. Yet we had the side that got interfered with, where we had the burglars and the goons, that was on the down part of the capital. Now, for us, our agenda was clear, and our agenda was actually leading us away from where the looting was happening. You see, so clearly, even without going further, that itself shows that it is not the Gen Z that was doing the looting. That is just some other people who were brought there by other people. You see, second thing. You could also see that they were trying to create that gap between the Gen Zs and the demonstrators and the goons, because the goons, obviously, like the previous one, the Tuesday of I think it's last week, but one, yeah, we had the goons working with the police, and they were actually standing with the police themselves, yeah, so that they could disrupt the maandamano that was happening. This time round, they were so keen not to get close to where we were, because we had the numbers, and the message was very clear. Amongst us, we do not have burglars, we do not have guns, and we do not have distractors. So they were very much afraid of getting close to where we were, because it would have been it would just be hell on earth. We would not let them, or we would not permit them to destroy or vandalize people's property and then tarnish our names. We would have dealt with them fair and square.
Fair and square.
Yeah, we would have cleared all that. But because they understood the magnitude of that particular event, they decided to go back downtown, while us, we were very much on the upper side. Ask the business community that was there. Yes, we are very much sympathetic with the business community, and we are actually apologizing on our behalf as the Gen Z movement. That the event, or rather the activities pertaining to people losing their property and getting vandalized, we are very much regretful about that. But it is also important that we point out the people, or rather the institution that made it possible, which is not the demonstrators.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you. I think now what we are going to do, all of you are going to give your parting shot, but your parting shot, just a short parting shot, but you giving us a solution. We have always been talking about what to do and all that, but we need a solution and a way forward for this country. You will look at that camera for these guys on this side and that camera on this side, and you give us a solution on the way forward, what we need to do, and what's the way forward for the revolution. You start with you, Sophie.
I'd like to say two things. First is a clarification that the Gen Z revolution is not at any point funded by Rigathi Gachagua. So please, can you just stop demonizing somebody who has nothing to do with what we are doing here? In fact, if you were to ask us, Rigathi is not even an option to us in terms of solutions. These demonstrations and protests are funded by our problems, are funded by our joblessness, are funded by the high cost of living, and are funded by the utter disregard for human life and dignity of the Kenyan citizens. Secondly, my solution is purely political. We need to rise up. We need to come out as young people and get into this political space, because what is really making the political class uncomfortable is they're realizing that we have the capacity and the intellectual capacity, for that matter, to be in this political space and to actually bring about change in this nation. So my solution is you come out, take up a role, come out, take your voter's card and vote for young people to be in those positions. And in fact, if we have a parliament and county assemblies that are full of revolutionary young people, it won't matter who is president, because he won't have as much power as he has now. So come out, guys, and support us. And we're very sorry for the business communities that lost their property. We're very sorry for those who have lost their lives. Policy dawa. Lakini we promise, once we take political power, we will hold these people accountable, each and every one of them. Thank you.
Yeah, just like Sophia said, it is very important for us to stand together. Juzi kule town, tumeona mama mwenye alipigwa vibaya sana na polisi. And you can imagine we have a president who advocates for the rights of women. Ile wakati women walikuwa wamesimama wakasema ati no, you see, we've been slaughtered, we've been killed. The president alikuja akasema no, you see, this is not supposed to be happening and you're going to be standing and backing up the women. I was thinking it was supposed to happen not only on that day, but every other single day. Alafu hapa hivi tuko in a situation where mama anapigwa na asasi za usalama. This is a cry on call for all the women. It is high time you also held one another together. Mshikane. Pamoja na the Gen Zs, we are with you. You know we are your children. We are your sons. We are your daughters. We will never forsake you. The same way we are asking right now, do not forsake us. Women and our fathers, guide us. Ni nyinyi ndio ambao tunaangalia huwa tunakuja kila siku nyumbani na mnatuuliza mmeshinda vipi. Msione tukiuawa kwa street na nyinyi baba zetu pia mmeketi hapo. It's high time tuketi chini, let us discuss and agree on how to put away this regime totally and forget about it. To the Gen Z movements ama to the youth of Kenya. It is high time pia sisi tufanye vitu ambazo zinaeleweka. Tuende tuchukue kura zetu. Tuende tuhakikishe kwamba tumejisajili. You and I tunajua vizuri we are not tribalic. Imagine what we can do, wewe ukiwa na voters card yako na mimi nikiwa na voters card yangu. That president mwenye anajifanya pale hivyo will not be a match to us. Thank you.
I hold an opinion that the problems we have in this country cannot be solved on the ballot. We are deceived by who clothe themselves in angels' clothing when they are seeking votes. But they quickly show us their true colors a few months and a few years after getting into office. They are willing to beg us, kneel down. Someone who is willing to pretend, to sell a fallacy so as to get to leadership, just like William Ruto did. He pretended to be a peasant's son who was interested in changing the country. Is a dangerous man or woman. Someone who is willing to pretend to be someone else just so as to get to power is a dangerous person. And I'm saying that perhaps our problems might not be fixed at the ballot. So then, how can we foolproof ourselves? How then can we ensure that in the ensuing period, we are going to have better leadership in this country? Perhaps we should look at this from a different angle. And that is why I'm proposing that we make it fastidious and possible and seamless to recall our leaders, all of them, from the president to the governor, to the senator, to the women representative, to the member of county assembly. In this way, we will have granted ourselves the cushion of better leadership. Because there is a dearth in responsibility and accountability in most of the state officials and the elected leaders in Kenya. Why? Because they see, from the way they see it, they cannot be taken out unless and until their 5 years are over. Okay. That a governor can buy members of county assembly and they would not be impeached. I am thinking probably this is what Sakaja has done. We all know he's incompetent, but he will survive till 2027. Possibly this is what William Ruto has done. He has bought off the members of parliament, so they are not willing to impeach him. So then, where does that then leave the Kenyan people? They are left with no option whatsoever as to a reprove as to the situation we have in Kenya. So if it was in my ability, I would make it possible for the possibility of recalling all our leaders, because this would instill some fear and some sense of responsibility and some respect to the offices they hold, because they would understand and that they would know that the people can recall us at every minute, at every time. Why does the IBC need 90 days to verify the signatures for the recall of an MP? I mean, 2 weeks can do it. Why would they need 90 days? After all, they have boasted of having superior IBC technology than most of the African countries we have. So why would they need 90 days? Okay. If I was to ask you, EJ, why would we need 7 days to announce the election results? Why do we need 7 days? In most countries in the world, say the UK, the US, France, and so many other countries, the election results are announced in under 24 hours. Why does Kenya need 7 days? So we need to review some of these things, and we need to grant ourselves the right to recall our leaders, from the president to the governor to the women rep to the senator. We would not be having maandamanos, by the way, as frequent and as often as we have had in the last 1 year, because we would follow the constitutional provisions to recall the president.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Waweru, what will be a parting shot?
Here's the young people. We can attend a lot of interview, go to the streets, but end up making no change. So the only change we can make is learning for political seats and make the change that we want to see in our country. I want to call people from the media sector, business sector, academia sector, and all other sectors to come out, learn for political power, people of integrity, people who have no experience of theft of public funds, to learn for power and political seats and make that change they want to see in the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Obang?
Mimi kwanza message yangu ni kwa polisi. Wengi wenu ni relatives wetu, one way or another, sisi ni mandugu, sisi ni madada. Muliona hata juzi kuna mama alikuwa upande wa maandamano, yeye ni polisi, na upande huu mwingine kulikuwa na kijana ambaye ni kijana wake mwenye anakuwa mwandamanaji. Sasa wewe polisi mwenye una pull the trigger, wewe mwenye uko na haraka ya kufyatua risasi, si unaona utakuja kufyatua hata mtoto wa polisi mwenzako? Jamani, kwa muda mrefu polisi mmetumika vibaya, and it's high time. Niliona hata kuna wawili watatu wenyu wamesema enough is enough. Tunajua police system mmefundishwa ku take orders, na hivyo ndivyo tunafanya. It's high time nyinyi pia you stand your ground na mfanye uamuzi na mseme hapana, maovu mtafanya. Hapo ndo mali Kenya tabadilikia, na kama haitawezekana sijui itafanyaje. Vijana nawahimiza hivi, sisi ni youth for youth, na tunasemanga iko siku youth wataungana. Hiyo siku ni lini? Sio siku ni leo. Juu hata sisi tukigrow, tukiwa watoto tuliambiwa sisi ni viongozi wa kesho. Kesho ishaifika na itawaifika kweli? Haitaifika. So tuchukue hiyo kesho saa hizi na tuchukue uongozi. Kwa muda mrefu tumekampenia watu, tumewaaminia na tukaamini watafuatilia agenda zile walituambia, lakini wanapoingia pale wanatusahau. Sasa vijana, tukue tayari kuchukua hii mantle, tukue tayari kuchukua uongozi, kwa sababu hakuna mtu anakuja kutusaidia na hakuna mtu anatupigania. Mtu asikudanganye ati kuna jamaa fulani, mwanasiasa fulani juu wa kabila yako anakujali wewe. Huyo jamaa anajijali yeye, tumbo yake na wale wamemzunguka. Anakujali tu saa zile imefika ni saa ya kupiga kura, ndiye anajua wewe ni mwenzake, wewe unaongea lugha yake. So vijana, ni vibaya sana nikiona kijana anakuja kuchapa kijana mwenzake mwenye anadamania rights zake. Tujue space yetu ni hii. Ya mwisho, wanasiasa, anza kupack virago. Wewe mwenye ufanye kazi, anza kupack virago. 2027 sisi tunaingia hapo, na sisi tuna campaign, na sisi tutafanyia wananchi kazi, na tutaonyesha vile wanafaa kufanyiwa kazi, kwa sababu tunaamini uongozi ni nafasi ya mtu kufanyia watu wake kazi, sio nafasi ya kwenda kuiba na kunyanyasa na kuumiza wapigaji kura wake. Asanteni sana.
Okay. Alam.
Yes.
Your parting shot.
Do you know that for the past 3 years hatujakuwa na recruitment ya polisi, which normally happens every year. So the police we are having now wako constrained sana. Why are they not being recruited? The funds zinaenda wapi? Some people are eating. Are you aware that wametoa dishi ya KDF? So hiyo pesa inaenda wapi? Wanasema inaenda wapi? There is no magic, or there is nothing they have added on the budget. The only magic they have added on the budget ni magic ya the budget itself. It has come from I don't know what trillion to 4.6. That is the magic. And yet in the essential areas that really attaches mwananchi, wamepata reduction. So this would be my parting shot. Wakenya, vijana, hapa kwa bunge ndio tumemess. Because right now, tuko na valid, genuine, constitutional grounds that warrants William Ruto to go home. If only we can have a working parliament, the question of Ruto must go could be something of a past. But we don't have a working parliament. We have a parliament of greedy, tribalistic individuals who masquerade as parliamentarians, but they are busy trying to cut deals left, right, and center, and trying to make parliament look like a joke. That is why I want to tell Kenyans, the young people have come out and have shown that they can do this thing. I want Kenyans to, as we are going to election 2027, which is somehow quite still far, because along the way we are going to do a lot of things, including even impeaching Ruto. But if we get there, unfortunately, with Ruto as the president, in an unlikely event that we get to 2027 with Ruto as the president, then we should not only concentrate on electing Ruto out, but again, let us put all our effort on ensuring that the people who get into parliament are people who can work for the people of Kenya, who have sent them to that house. Number 2, we realize that the Bunge la Mwananchi, the famous Bunge la Mwananchi that used to talk on issues people-based, the Bunge la Mwananchi is now busy talking about how they can defend the government and how the government should remain in power. That is why we, the young people, came up with an idea of having our own space where the young people can be welcomed and talk about their issues. That is why we created Bunge la Gen Z, and we are calling on the young people all over the country to start embracing such initiatives, to have a space for themselves to talk about their issues. Bunge la Gen Z is currently in Nairobi every Thursday, and I want to welcome every Gen Z, every youth to come to Bunge la Gen Z there at Aga Khan Walk. Additionally, as I finish, we are organizing to take political power, and as you can see here, I'm having a beret. If you see closely, it is written Revolutionary Gen Z Movement. So we are the Revolutionary Gen Z Movement. I welcome every young person who is planning to take political power come 2027, who is passionate and who wants to see Ruto gone, who wants to see the rogue parliamentarians gone, to come and join us in this journey. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, guys, for the conversation. And as Thomas Edison said, that every new generation needs a new revolution. You have had a very interesting conversation with 6 brilliant minds, 6 brilliant young people in Kenya: Sophie Njehia, Ochieng Alam, James Mulamba, Ian Obang, Morphine Abaka, and Mr. Waweru. And we would like to hear your opinion on this conversation. Don't forget to drop your comment, and let's hear about what you think about the ongoing revolution in the country. As they say, the illiterate person of the 21st century is not the one who cannot read or write, is the one who cannot unlearn, learn, and relearn. That's all we had for you for LNN. Don't forget to subscribe as we head to 1.5 million subscribers. And to everyone who made this production possible, we say thank you. My name is EJ Mukara. See you tomorrow.